Hey everyone, it's been a while. It has definitely been a long time since I filmed any sort of long form video or posted anything on YouTube, but I have still been posting content in other places, mainly my Instagram, and I recently revived my TikTok, which I didn't even have a TikTok the last time I posted on YouTube. I just felt like getting on here, doing my makeup, and catching up with everybody. I don't know how much detail I'm going to get into about my life since I last posted. I kind of just want to focus this on the makeup. So we're going to be playing with a new palette that I got in the mail last night for the eyes, and for the face, I'm going to focus on some products that I never use. I just pulled a bunch of products out of my collection that I feel I've been neglecting or avoiding for any reason, and we're just going to shove them all at my face and do a bit of troubleshooting if need be. So if you notice while I held that palette up briefly, it is called A Clown in a Man Costume, which is kind of a strange name for a palette, and that's because this is a custom palette that I ordered from the brand CXC Beauty. Now, they are an indie brand, but I believe they are kind of like a private label sort of business where they order the shadows and then put their name on them. However, I was impressed by the fact that they let you put whatever you want on the palette at a bit of extra money, and I could not pass up the opportunity to name this palette A Clown in a Man Costume. And the term A Clown in a Man Costume is not from any sort of media I'm a fan of or anything like that. I actually just think I'm hilarious because I coined that term during the singular worst hangover of my life, which occurred about a year ago. Let's cut to the chase here. This is the inside of the palette. I picked all of these colors out of their little build your own palette thing online. Last night after I got this palette, I named them with little stick-on labels after some friends that I have in a makeup Discord server that I'm a part of. So I'm still getting used to holding things on camera without them being all off kilter. But as you might be able to see, all of the shades in here are matte except for this one, which I named after myself. I named it after myself because it actually arrived a little bit broken. It fell out of the pan and I had to repress it with some tissue and a quarter. So I figured I would name the dud shade, quote unquote, after myself, to be fair. So all of these shades are matte, and that's because I wanted some more colorful mattes in my collection now that I'm no longer supporting ColourPop. I was hoping that I'd be able to pull them out of the palette, but it doesn't look like I can do that without disassembling the whole palette and possibly breaking it. Which I don't want to do. I was kind of hoping I could rearrange them, but you know, you live and you learn. I'm just using my Smashbox Photo Finish Intensify 24-hour eyeshadow primer to prime my lids. Just gonna clip my hair back. Oh yeah, it's a great look for me. And I'm just setting my eye primer with a little bit of the face powder that I normally use, which is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet Setting Powder. And that's more just to cancel out any discoloration I have in my eyes than, you know, it is to affect the performance of the eyeshadow. Speaking of performance, did you notice the difference between these two? They reformulated my favorite eyeshadow primer that I've been using since high school, which sucks because I don't find it performs the same, if I'm being totally honest. And I'm usually not too picky with reformulations, but that eyeshadow primer was something I have used daily since, I want to say 2013, so damn near a decade, and they reformulated it and it doesn't keep my eyeshadows on for as long anymore. I would say I still get like 8 or 9 hours of wear, but I used to get 13 or 14 out of the old formula. That's enough yapping out of me though. Let's try some eyeshadow. I want to do a blue and green sort of look. So I'm going to start with this lighter blue shade, which is called, actually it's not called Izzy, I just called it Izzy. I can tell you the actual shade if you'd like to know. Maybe I'll put it in the description box if I'm feeling generous. When I was swatching these shadows, they felt pretty dry, if I'm being honest. Like, they very much do feel private labeled. A couple of them were pretty powdery, and then a couple of them were more hard pressed, almost seemed like they wanted to hard pan. This is applying really nicely though, so I'm pleased. And I'm just applying this through my crease with a brush from Sephora's Pro line. This is the number 27 crease brush. You can see it's kind of fatter and domed, and then as you turn it to the side, it tapers a bit more. This is definitely in my top 3 eyeshadow brushes. I use it pretty much every single day. I just can't put it down. So that's that light blue applied through my crease. I really like it. It's more of a true sky blue than it is like a pastel or a periwinkle blue. I think the true test of these shadows are going to be whether they fade throughout the day, because a lot of shadows this color tend to apply really nicely and then they go almost gray, or they just darken throughout the day and end up looking really muddy and shitty. So next I'm going to take my other favorite eyeshadow brush from Sephora collection. This is just a pinched, like tapered blending brush, and this is the Pro Crease 24. Like I said, I want to incorporate green into this look, but I think in the interest of not making a muddy mess, since I do have somewhere to go after this, I'm going to go in with this shade that I've called Ash. And I'm just going to place that carefully in, ooh, maybe not too carefully. I'm going to place that on my cheekbone. Now I'm going to put it in my outer crease, place the color where I want it, and then bring it in. Instead of windshield wiper motions, I'm kind of just bringing it in, picking the brush up, and then going back over. After I'm confident that I have enough color down and it's not going to blotch or stick on me, then I can switch to windshield wiper motions. And these shadows seem to be building quite well on top of each other, which is quite a relief, considering that a lot of the formulas that I've been trying lately tend to just shed as soon as you try and put another shadow on top of the first one. So you end up having to do these looks that are maybe one shadow in the crease, one on the lid, and one on the outer corner, if you're lucky. And that's just not how I roll. I like to really sit here and fuss with my eyeshadow, and if you're on my Instagram, you'll notice that all of my description boxes have like 18 shadows listed in them. Description boxes? I meant captions. But yeah, I just really like to sit and play with my eyeshadow. So when I'm limited with how many I can put on my eyes and how long I can sit there and play, I'm not a happy camper. Next, I'm going to be taking an older brush. This is the Sephora Small Shadow. This was the number 15 brush, and it's since been discontinued when they reformulated all of their brushes to have synthetic hair. I think they're supposed to all be synthetic now. I'm actually not sure, so don't quote me on that. I'm going to be taking this navy shade, which I have called Noodle, after my friend Noodle Banoodle. And I'm just going to be placing that in my outer corner, and I might bring it, yeah, I think I'm going to bring it fully onto my lid as well. That way we can kind of get a gradient going. I would honestly really love to be more detailed about my brushes. That might have to be another video, because right now I want to describe why I like these brushes to you, but you know, no thoughts, head empty. So I'm just patting that on, and then I kind of swipe as I get up into that crease to meet that royal blue shade. I'm going to lean in so you can see here. I did get quite a bit of fallout, but honestly, it's not as bad as I've gotten with some other shadows, and that's to be expected with a formula that is this powdery. And other than that, I'm really liking how this is looking. It's very electric, and all of the colors blended really seamlessly with each other. Now that I've wiped away that fallout, we are free to head on to the rest of the face before we jump back to the eyes. Oh, I moved the camera around. Now you can see my cat in the background. Her name is Dawn. Hi, Dawn. So I am actually going to have to go through the rest of the video a little quicker, just because I'm running out of time and running out of camera space, apparently. But I did pull a bunch of products that I don't use very frequently, or some of them can't remember the last time I used them, and we're going to put those all on my face right now. So we're starting with the Hello Good Stuff Primer from Essence. This is a Watermelon Glow Primer Serum, and I picked it up because I figured it would be maybe, like, not a dupe, but give something similar to the Watermelon Niacinamide Dewdrops from Glow Recipe. A cheap thrill that I picked up while I was at the drugstore picking up prescriptions, probably. So it is tacky to the touch, and it gives a little bit of a glow, but nothing super juicy, and there's no shimmer to it at all. It does smell pretty heavily of fake watermelon, but kind of in a similar way to how some of the Glow Recipe products smell to me, honestly. We'll see how it grips my makeup throughout the day because I'm going to be out until about 10 p.m. and it's 2:30 when I'm filming this right now. For concealer, I'm going to be using the Florence by Mills See You Never Concealer. Mine's all gunked up, but it has this little metal applicator. I find it applies, yeah, it applies a little bit too much product. So I'm just going to scrape some off that side and add it to this side. What shade do I have? It's a mystery. F015 is what's written on the back of it. I don't know if that's actually the shade. So now that I'm thinking about it, this doesn't have the best coverage or finish in my collection. And I think I only have 4 concealers in my collection right now. So this is the one that gets used the least. I was going to say that this looks half decent, but it's actually getting caught in fine lines that I didn't know I had. So that's not great. Gonna put a little bit on the acne that I've gotten from my testosterone injections. So we have another drugstore product, and this is the Milani Glow Hydrating Skin Tint. I have the shade 110 Fair to Light. Ooh, it's a little bit separated. I won't be using this on its own because it's way too oily looking for that, which is why I never end up using it. It looks very sweaty, very greasy, and now I have oily skin, but even when my skin is dry, it looks like that. It's just a complete oil slick of a product. So it's good as a mix-in, I think. We're going to try mixing it in with this LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation that I have in the shade LN3. I've used the LYS foundation quite a few times. I bought it during the, not the recent Sephora sale, but the Sephora Friends and Family sale that happened about a month before the Rouge sale. I haven't quite wrapped my head around it yet, honestly, but I don't like using a lot of foundations on their own. I'm kind of a brat that way. I tend to mix my foundations like I'm doing now to get the best finish for my skin. It's not something I would ever like recommend to anybody, like, oh, you definitely have to mix this foundation with another product, because I'm not going to make you go buy 2 products that might be like $50 each or something. But for myself, if I already have the products, it's like, nah, whatever. Especially when it's something like this where, you know, it wouldn't be wearable on its own. We're just going to try and make it work. Okay, so that blends out really, holy shit. That blends out so easily. Holy crap. That blends out so easily that I got a heavy Canadian accent in surprise. So you feel like my under eyes are still really dark, especially because I have a giant hunk of electric blue eyeshadow up on my upper lids. Basically what I'm trying to say is I'm not loving this concealer. So the foundation looks really good. It still looks really shiny in some areas that I don't necessarily want it to. Especially because I know it'll end up looking shinier throughout the day because of my skin type. So, perfect segue for me to be using the e.l.f. Camo Powder Foundation. I was so excited when they released this. And I waited for it to come to Canada for me to pick it up. So it came to Walmart in Canada. And then I still waited a couple weeks because I was really broke. But I grabbed it. I used it once on bare skin, I think, and really didn't like it. So it's been sitting in my drawer ever since. And we're going to try and use it today as a setting powder. We're going to see how it goes. I'm just using this on a foundation brush. This is a brush I normally use to apply my setting powder in areas where I want it to be a bit more concentrated. Ooh, that's really... I don't like that. No, I don't. We're going to put a bit under my eyes because I do need coverage there at least. So I'm just patting it really close and tight under the eye. And then bringing a little bit onto the side of the nose because I tend to get oily there as well. Be a powder foundation that you use on its own, I guess, or on top of other foundation. And they give you this little sponge to apply it with. I've obviously never applied it with the sponge, but I know my Makeup Forever one applies better with the sponge that they give you, so maybe I'll try it. Put it on there. And honestly, I'm going to swipe it on the side. Holy shit. Oh, okay. What the hell? Okay, yeah, that's not gonna work. It looks like I applied stucco to my forehead. I don't know if you'll be able to see in any sort of detail, but it looks disgusting. We're gonna leave that powder be because I'm not impressed with how it looks on any part of my face. It's just kind of particulating, and I don't think it's agreeing with how glowy and oily and squalane-y this skin tint is. So I'm just gonna go in with my regular setting powder, which is the Makeup Forever Matte Velvet. Just so I don't screw up that skin tint anymore, I'm going to take this very lightly on a fluffy diffuser brush, and I'm just going to gently kind of dab it onto the face, almost like you would when you're using a sponge. You'll see this especially when we go back to finish the eyeshadow, but holy moly, my under eyes look disgusting. Now we'll move on to bronzer. So a bronzer that I never use, and I actually think I might have two of them. I have the mini that I got in the Sephora birthday gift, and then I have this mini, which is a slightly larger mini that I got when I think I bought a value set. Or if I didn't mention, this is Laguna from NARS, which is their proprietary legendary bronzer shade. So let's apply a bit of this because I'm looking pretty ghostly. I'm applying it with an angled blush brush and laying it down, and then we're gonna just kind of sweep it back. That's really red. Yeah, that's really red, and it's not even applying over that patch where I had put the powder foundation. Yeah, can't say I'm converted to the NARS Laguna religion. Ah, shit. I was gonna say now we're gonna go in with blush. I pulled the Glossier Cloud Paints. I have the shades Dusk and Haze. I never end up using these, and you know what? Today's not gonna be the day I use them because I just applied powder all over my face. This is MAC Warm Soul. This is the OG version. I think I've talked about this brush on my channel before. It's my favorite blush brush. It's kind of a stippling brush, and it's from a holiday set from Quo Beauty that I think I got in 2011, something like that. I'm gonna put a bit of that on my forehead and my chin to bring me back to the world of the living. So I'll just take the clips out. How about that? Ugh! Okay, I was gonna say I don't think I have a lot of powder highlights that I don't use, but I definitely do, and they are my loose powder highlights. I never use these. They're basically the same shade, so see, they even have dust on top. That's gross. Wet n Wild Mega Glow Loose Highlighting Powder, and it's in the it was from the Zodiac collection. I'm just going to show you the cap. This is the Artist Couture Diamond Glow Highlighting Powder in the shade Yasss. The Artist Couture one was definitely a gift from another blogger, so I don't know if I've actually used it more than once. I know I've definitely used the Wet n Wild one more than that. So I'm going to be using the Artist Couture on a little domed highlighter brush. Just going to kind of sweep / buff that on. Oh, that's really pretty. I'm really like digging my brush into the cap and rubbing it on the back of my hand to make sure all of the like loose glitter doesn't fly all over my face. Oh, that's gorgeous. Good Lord. Okay, so I've been missing out. Point taken. That actually doesn't look anything like the Wet n Wild one. This one is a lot more champagne. Like, it looks very pinky peach in the jar. It's almost like that pinky peach is so close to my skin tone that all you get is this champagne pearl, and it's so pretty. Holy. Put a bit of that on the tip of my nose. I'm probably going to use that as a brow bone highlight as well, considering I've only got that one shimmer in my palette. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Finally, we have a win. You know, I was all pissed off about my base looking bad, and then this just brought the self-esteem right back around. In the interest of saving time, I went and did my brows and brow bone highlight off camera, as well as applied some setting spray. This is the e.l.f. Stay All Night Microfine Setting Mist. And now you are zoomed right in because we are going to do the rest of the eyes. So this blue-white shimmer here is definitely going to go on the inner corner. And then I'll decide what I want to do with the rest of it. So that shimmer is very soft, and it's probably because I had to press it back into the pan and didn't use any like binding agent. But that's okay because it's really nice and pearly. Just gonna feather that kind of up here. And I'm just using a little pencil brush for this, by the way. This is the Sephora Pro 18. Now that we've got the glowing blue inner corner, I do think I'm just gonna stick with the blues in this palette for this video, but I'll definitely play with this palette again and use the rest of the shades. So I'm just gonna go in the same order that I did on the top lid by using that lightest blue. And I'm just gonna do this all in the same pencil brush, maybe blend it out with a bigger brush after. So we'll bring that light blue down the farthest. I think a raccoon just ran across my roof. I don't know why I sounded so angry when I said that. They're allowed. There, so we've got that light blue laid down, and then I will be going in with the royal blue right at the lash line. So we've got that there, and then I think I'm actually going to use a smudger brush for that navy. So I'm going to be using this shadow smudger brush from Quo Beauty. Just pressing that on the outer half of the lower lash line and tugging it to blend it. I'm actually like stunned by this eyeshadow look. I think it looks really cool for a blue monochromatic look. This kind of gives me everything that I would have wanted back from my ColourPop Blue Moon palette. I was going to put some sort of crazy multi-chrome on the lid, but I honestly think I'm just going to leave it as is with the mattes on it because they are holding their own. They're not fading or patching up as I have been sitting here. So that's good. So for the lower lash line, I just went in with this dark brown pencil. It is the Endless Silky eye pen from Pixi in the shade BlackCocoa. I really like how blue and brown look together, and I just think that looks really pretty. I smudged it a little bit along the lower lash line as well. It's such a creamy formula that you kind of have to. And then I think I'm going to throw a bit of that iridescent shade on the lower lash line as well, right into my eye bag. Ooh, that looks cool. Oh yeah, that's very me. I'm just going to curl my lashes and do my mascara. So I just finished curling up my lashes, and I'm going to go in with my favorite mascara combo. Obviously, I don't have a mascara that I don't, well, I do have a couple of mascaras that I don't use that often, but they're just sitting there, and I don't know how long they've been sitting there, and I don't feel like giving myself a sty. So for now, I'm going to be going in with the Tower 28 Make Waves mascara. And next, before that coat dries, I'm going to go in with one almost like half coat of the MAC MACstack mascara. And if you are a mascara combo person, this is a really nice one, but you do have to put the Tower 28 one on first. That's very important because if you put the MACstack on first and then the Tower 28 on top, it gets so clumpy, like horrifically clumpy. So there's the eyes. I really like how they look. They'll probably look better in the daylight shots that I'm going to take, so I'll insert those. So that means all we have left to do is the lips, and I'll just keep you zoomed in for this part before I do the outro. That way you'll be able to see them better. I'm going to use this Wet n Wild Perfect Pout Gel Liner in the shade Lay Down The Mauves. I do use these gel liners a lot. This is just a shade that I usually forget about because if I'm reaching for a more nude lip liner, I do have one that I'm panning right now, which is the Makeup Forever Pencil in Wherever Walnut. And that is them there. This is the Wet n Wild is on this side and the Makeup Forever is on this side. So the Wet n Wild is just a little more purpley pink. And obviously they're quite different formulas. I say obviously and then I don't tell you how. This is a gel formula. It's a twist up. Whereas the Makeup Forever is quite similar to like a MAC lip liner, just a good old traditional pencil. And then I'll be going in with this brown lipstick that I never use. I love brown and nude lipsticks, but this one I usually just forget I have. It's more of a cool brown, and I tend to wear a lot of warm brown. This is part of the Astrology collection from the Sephora collection Lipstories line. I think they're currently on clearance, and this might have even been on clearance when I bought it a couple months ago. But this one is in the shade Taurus. And I love the Lipstories lipsticks. I use them all the time. Now that's very cool tone. Sorry, I'm looking in the mirror. I was hoping for something a bit warmer, almost to match my shirt, but one, I might have shot myself in the foot with that lip liner, and two, I guess I can always change my shirt. It's not like this looks bad with the eyes. So yeah, I think I'm gonna change my outfit and then I'll be back for the outro.